Good morning, and we're just about to start off, or good evening, depending where you are from the world here. And we're going to start just now. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Welcome to this live stream. I'm Chris Muzo. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, I talk about PC and tech. And there is a lot that's going on in the PC and tech world right now. If you haven't heard, the RTX 5060 was released. Not the 5060, but the 5060 Ti was released just this past Wednesday. And it's already sold out. And we have some very interesting news about Intel and their Battle Mage cards. If you're unfamiliar, Intel actually has cards. They actually have graphics cards where they're trying to compete with AMD, and they're also trying to compete with Nvidia as well. The funny thing is, nobody was sure exactly where Intel was going to head and what type of direction they were going to go to. And the reason being is because we weren't sure if they were going to stop production. But there is some silver lining in the news recently. Well, it's more of rumor news that Intel is thinking of actually coming out with another card. But it's unclear if it's going to be directed towards gamers and creators alike, because right now they are under R&D for this new card. And it's great that Intel wants to enter the GPU market. We could really use some more competition when it comes to gaming, especially because of the pricing here. Thank you for all the likes. I appreciate all the likes. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody who is coming in. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, I'm Chris Muzo. I talk about PC and tech. And I do have some info on the giveaway, which I will share some details a little bit later. And with the RTX 5060 Ti, I don't know if anybody has any luck on receiving the RTX 5060 Ti during on Newegg, or whether it was from Best Buy or whether it was from Micro Center. But for the best pricing details, I would always go to Micro Center, because it seems that online retailers have just been throwing some sort of random price on there because they're afraid that they're going to be tariffed. But technically, there shouldn't be any tariffs on any of electronics. They're supposed to be 0%, allegedly. But going back to the whole Intel, into the Intel GPU, I don't know if anybody would be interested in that. Now, Battle Mage was a hot card when it was released. They had the B560, I think it was, and the B570, and they look like great cards, but it was really hard to get your hands on them. And they're still slightly under on the AMD side. They're not nowhere close to Nvidia just yet, but supposedly this new card that they're supposed to come out with, Battle Mage, that it's supposed to come out with a higher VRAM, and it's supposed to have better clock speeds and memory speeds too. But again, that's going to be due time to see if Intel decides to really come out with this card, which would be great. But what's up, Destiny? Welcome to the live stream. Right now, if you're wondering where I'm streaming at, I'm multi-streaming right now through multiple platforms right now. I'm obviously on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, and on Twitch as well. So if you're looking for me, I'm on any of those platforms. And if you are interested in joining this free giveaway, which I will be talking about shortly, please stay tuned and take a listen. Now, the RTX 5060 Ti has shown some of their benchmarks, and a lot of the benchmarks have been pretty questionable, especially for the pricing that you're paying. Right now, for the RTX 5060 Ti, you could pay up as high as up a little bit over $500 if you were to go to purchase one. And right now, it's still underperforming a RTX 4070, which is a bit disappointing, especially for the pricing that you are paying for a card such as this. Now, on the AMD side, there is certainly going to be a RX 9070 GRE edition that's coming out. there was a mistake that Acer, actually, I think it was Acer or it was ASRock. It was one of those companies. They accidentally put out a post saying that they were going to come out with a RX 9070 GREXT, but obviously that was a typo. It's not going to be an XT version of it. It's just going to be a 9070 GRE edition. So that will be eventually coming out, and it probably won't, we will probably see it like towards the summertime, I would think, hopefully. But again, all these cards, if you're trying to purchase one, just hang in there. Hopefully you're keeping your eyes on the on any type of notification for any of these cards, because they are coming in very slowly. I've noticed that MSI has been pushing their cards a lot. I've noticed Gigabyte and PNY has been coming out with their cards a little bit more often. On the ASUS side, it's still very slow on their end. And I know for Gigabyte, they're also pretty slow on their end. They were pushing out like for probably like a week or so last week, but it's getting to the point where we should see more cards. So Dusty Cake has a question here. He says, can you explain how to fix stick drift on a controller on a PS5? Yeah, I mean, it depends on, or do you have a standard PS5 controller? Is it just the DualSense, or is it the DualSense Edge controller that you have, Dusty Cake? Because depending on the type of controller that you have, there's a couple fixes that could be done. I believe with the DualSense controller, you could probably go into the settings. It's something I would have to check out myself, but you could probably go into the settings onto your PS5, and you could actually calibrate it there. If you want to calibrate the dead zone, that would actually help it out a lot if you have some sort of drift. And if it's a mechanical drift failure, that would temporarily fix it until it probably would get worse. And then you would have to swap out the joystick eventually, if this is the standard DualSense. Now, if it's the DualSense Edge, I know for sure you can adjust the dead zones on there and the sensitivity and everything on it to kind of help you avoid any type of dragging or anything like that, or a forced movement on your controller. And the good thing about the DualSense Edge, if you were thinking about even getting the DualSense Edge, you could actually swap out the joysticks on there. Thank you for all the likes, Kunigami. There, I see you. Thank you for all the likes over there. But that would fix your issue if that's the case. If it's the standard controller, it seems like, just as you mentioned, go into the settings on PS5, see if you could adjust the dead zones. More than likely, you probably can. Or sometimes in game, they have settings in there as well where you can adjust the dead zones, and that should at least temporarily help you fix your issue. But again, if it's more mechanical, it's going to be like if your joystick is leaning or something, then I would highly suggest just replacing the joystick itself if you want to actually go into the controller and repair it, or you can or you just get another controller depending on how you are. But if you do decide to get another controller, I highly recommend the DualSense Edge, because if you do run into problems with it, it's very easy to swap out the joysticks in those compared to a standard PS5 DualSense controller. Now, yeah, no problem. Hopefully that fixes your issues. Again, you can feel free to ask any questions, especially when it comes to PC builds and everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you haven't seen it just yet, I did just post up a video this morning on the RTX 5090, and it's just a unboxing of it and first impressions to get a good idea of how it looks like. And I've been running some tests on it, and it does take quite a bit of power on it. But again, that's something I will post up very shortly, and I will post up a little bit more news on that. I'm going to be testing it on different variations of it, such as it comes with a extra fan when it comes with Gigabyte's AORUS Master RTX 5090. That is currently installed, so I'm testing the temperatures of that, and also I'm going to test it without the fans on there. I would be highly careful, especially if you are trying to overclock the card. Definitely you don't want to do any overvolting, because again, it takes up quite a bit of power as it is. And I would highly suggest undervolting if you can, and see if you could get the same amount of power or even more power if you undervolt. But I haven't gotten to that step yet. Currently, I've just been doing some standard benchmarks with DLSS and frame generation just to get a good idea of where it's at. And I've also done it with just raw power to see if it's well worth it. I'm just coming off of a Gigabyte WindForce RTX 4090, so it'll be a very good comparison against the RTX 5090 if you're curious about those two. And for everybody out there who is thinking of building a PC, you don't have to go get the RTX 5090. You can certainly go with something like either the RTX 5070 Ti or even the RTX 5080. I highly recommend the RX 9070 XT. Very impressive for what this card does feature. And thank you, Dusty Cakes. I appreciate it. And oh yeah, thanks a lot. But for everyone out there who is thinking of building a PC, it's not as bad as it is, or bad as it looks. Especially if you're thinking about doing something to get into gaming, or if you're thinking about going into some sort of streaming, you can certainly do it. Everybody has the capability of do so. Of course, everything when it comes to building a PC can be scary at first, which is perfectly understandable. We've all been there when we first started building a PC. But when you actually see how it is, especially now building PCs, it's not as bad as it seems. So if you're thinking of getting a gaming PC, or if you're thinking of getting a creator's PC, there are going to be two different aspects that you're going to look for. So the first one, if you're going to go through the gaming side of it, I highly recommend looking at the graphics card first. If you're looking more on the creator side of it, you look at the CPU first. Now, if you're a little bit of both, if you like streaming and if you like gaming, there are processors out there where you can actually use it for streaming and also gaming. So you don't want to get something like crazy, like a Threadripper for gaming, because that's completely unnecessary. For gaming, you can go easily for something like a 9600X, as we just did a build for just well under $2,000. And because of that, that just proves the point. You do not need a RTX 5090 or any real high-end card. You can certainly get away with getting a RX 9070 XT or a RX 9070 and you would be perfectly happy. Especially because PCs are very upgradable. So if you do have some sort of issue in the future, or if you want some more power, you could easily swap out the GPU, which compared to a console, it gives you a lot more flexibility as well. And I gotta say too, when it comes to PC builds as well, not only when you look at the gaming aspect of it, if you're looking at gaming PC builds, just say, then you just look for the GPU first, and then you'll have a good idea of what type of power supply you're going to need, because depending on the GPU, they all have different power supplies. And I heard RTX 5090 is a downgrade from the 40 series, and that is what I'm trying to dig into right now. That is a great statement that Dusty Cake has mentioned. It does certainly, it's certainly certain aspects where I kind of scratch my head during the benchmarks, I gotta say. Especially for the price that you pay for a RTX 4090, I mean an RTX 5090. Oh, excuse me, the light just went out here. That's weird. There we go. And for some reason, must have been a timer on that light. But yeah, so for the RTX 4090 and the RTX 5090, I'm trying to see if there is going to be a large comparison between the two, if there's a lot of, see how much of a power increase or a power decrease it is from the prior generation. Currently, the temperatures, I can say for certain, I'll just say this, for the temperatures, the RTX 4090 certainly does stay cooler. Again, because the reason being is the RTX 5090 takes a lot more power. It takes 575 watts to power up the card, and then you have for the RTX 4090 where it only requires up to 450 watts. And the scary part is sometimes when you're looking at the wattage of the GPU, you can see it spike up even just a slight bit over, even close to a little bit over 600 sometimes, which is where the power limit should be. But of course, luckily, we didn't have any issues quite yet, but we will find out very soon, as we continue doing these tests with the RTX 5090. So if anybody has any questions out there, feel free to ask, especially if you're getting into PC builds, let me know. Or if you have any questions or any issues, or you could just feel free to ask anything that you would like, of course. Hopefully everybody's Saturday is going well. If it is, let me know. Put 1 if your Saturday is going great. Put 2 if it isn't so great. If it is still Saturday in your region, assuming most of the world, it's still mostly Saturday across the world practically. But how is your day or your evening going? Let me know. Hopefully we can make it better, especially that there is a giveaway that I will be mentioning very shortly. It's going to be in about probably the next 10 minutes. I'll probably announce the giveaway. There was one a couple weeks ago for those who were part of the live stream and who've seen it. And the giveaway was a Samsung SSD, a 990 Pro, where you can put it inside of a PS5 or you can put it inside of a PC, depending of your choice. And it does come with the heatsink, so you can definitely put it inside the PS5. There is no separate accessory that you have to purchase for it, but make sure you stay tuned. I will explain a little bit more, and there's going to be some dope merch that I do want to have. It's going to be some, it'll be some dope merch for sure that I will also have in the free giveaway as well. So hopefully you guys are excited more for some more PC components coming in. So Bob Sama says, I don't know anything about laptops, so can you give me a very basic things I should look for in a gaming laptop? All right, so the very first thing you want to look for, especially if it's for a gaming laptop, you want to look for a graphics card. That's the most important case when it comes to it. Everything else will come secondary. Does battery life really matter to you is one of the questions as well. Does the screen resolution, does that really matter to you? Because then it does, when it comes to laptops, you're going to see different features such as like the ASUS Zephyrus, just say this ASUS Zephyrus G16, great gaming laptop. It has a OLED display, certainly a game changer. If you're looking to game on a laptop, I would highly recommend OLED displays. And then you want to look for a GPU that is very good, at least a RTX, say a 4070 even, or 4080 on the, like say the older gens. But if you're looking for a more newer laptop, you can certainly go for 5080s or 5090s. I feel like is a bit of waste, but look between like a 5070 and 5080 when it comes to a laptop. And most importantly, you're going to look for if the RAM is integrated or if it's not integrated. And what that means is usually laptops will come with say 32 gigabytes of gigabytes of RAM. And if it does, see if they're swappable. If they are swappable, then you're able to upgrade the RAM. If not, then the minimum RAM that you're going to want is at least 32, because some laptops will be locked at say 16. And how you would know is that you'll see LPDDR5X, and that usually means that that's an embedded RAM into the laptop. But if it just says the DDR5, DDR5 7200 megahertz at say 32 gigabytes, then double check that laptop, see if it's upgradable, if that is what you're looking for. Typically that NVMEs are easily upgradable, and they come up with some decent storage now. Usually it's either 1 or 2 terabytes, depending on how often you install or reinstall or uninstall games, depending on how much you want to leave on your laptop, if it's just strictly for gaming. But so Sanchez Gaming says RAM memory, since they use the laptop versions and not desktops. Yeah, so storage, you can have at least about 8 terabytes in NVMe. From what I know, that is the top one in the highest capacity. Of course, it's going to be the most expensive, and I don't recommend that you have to get NVMe PCI Express 5. Not necessary. Absolutely not necessary. You can certainly go for PCI Express 4 and you will be perfectly happy. You will not really notice the difference unless you constantly transfer files. That's the only way you'll notice. That is the big difference between PCI Express 4 and PCI Express 5, especially when it comes to gaming. It'll only make a difference in gaming maybe in the next few years when direct storage gets more implemented. And that's something Microsoft is currently talking about and trying to push into their upcoming games. But AMD, yes, I agree. AMD is certainly a lot better these days. And everyone was asking on the last stream whether if I'm Team Green or Team Blue or if I'm Team Red. And I'm not really decisive when I choose my teams when it comes to PCs at all, because I look for which PCs really have the best to offer. So for this year, 100% this year, I gotta say it's Team Red, because they have certainly really upped the ante, especially when it came to their GPUs, and they have decent CPUs, and it's definitely their year to shine. And hopefully, I am highly hopeful that AMD constantly will push it out, that they will improve their GPU sector, and if they do, then it can become a lot more competitive compared to Nvidia. Now, so Destiny says, when my PS5 controller had stick drift, I opened it up, cleaned the potentiometer with ice. You could also do that too. And yeah, because you know what? If it's not mechanical and it's just like sticking, then that could also be a case. That's a great point that Destiny brought up, because sometimes things get in there, such as dust and lint, and that could cause sticking, or it could be something that is spilled into the joystick and then it could cause it to stick. But usually that will clean it up. That's a great point Destiny brought up for sure. And so I gotta say, for AMD, I am 100% Team Red for this year, because Nvidia has really, I had a lot of hopes for them this year, especially when it came to the potential of what Blackwell was going to bring, especially because a lot of companies were talking it up. A lot of game companies were saying that Nvidia was going to do something very big with their graphics cards, and that it was going to be this big game changer. But it honestly, the whole frame generation thing, that's not really a large, really not a generational leap. It's amazing, sure, but it's not really something that's going to change gaming, because it's just going to make game developers a lot more lazy when it comes to developing the games. Then when we actually get the games, it's not going to be optimized for our use, especially for PC. It's going to be a big pain, because you see problems such as Unreal Engine 5, and you see different problems in different other engines that they're using, and that they're just sending it out there the way it is. And even some games, when they send them out, they don't even work the first day. They have to patch it right away, which is never good. And what we should expect, especially as gamers, you should expect full quality on the first day. There's no need for a day one patch, because the game should be ready to go as it is. So Dusty Cake says, do you think a 4090 can handle GTA? Oh yeah, 100%. A 4090 should be able to handle GTA 6 for sure. I don't see any issues for GTA 6 to have any problems with a 4090, because then if it does, that would be just completely ridiculous, especially because they had all this time to optimize GTA 6, and allegedly it's going to be released sometime later this year, and we'll see if it does happen. But I have a feeling we probably won't see it for some reason. Does everybody think GTA 6 is going to come out for this year? If you really think it is, put 1. If you don't think GTA 6 is coming out, put 2. Because I am just curious how many people think that GTA 6 will actually get released or not. Because that will be that's a good indication to see if Rockstar will actually produce what they say. It's kind of weird we didn't get any trailers for almost, a year and a half? We were supposed to get one like during the whole video game awards, and we never got one. And then there was supposed to be some sort of drop earlier in the year, but again, there was no drop. And it was all because Rockstar said that they didn't want to leak any type of game information or anything about the game, because the leaker apparently ruined it. But the real question is, have you really developed the game as far as you thought you guys would, especially that you guys said that it was going to be released this upcoming year? So yeah, so Dusty Cake says slim chance, but never zero. I agree. You never know. They could actually come out, and if they do, that would like almost like a shadow drop. They could just suddenly drop it out, no trailer, nothing, not even a launch trailer, just drop it out. What do you guys think of that? You think that's something that Rockstar will do? Just do like a shadow drop, just say, hey, we're gonna release it, say on like September 18th, and then it just comes out with no type of trailer. That would be pretty crazy. So, Take-Two CEO says that they limit trailers to create hype near the game's release. Yes, he did also mention that. That is true. There's so many different things that he said about the reason why that the trailer hasn't been released. But okay. So in the recent interview, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see, and really excited for it to come out. Unfortunately, for everybody who has a PC, it's not going to be released for PC until 2026. It's going to be released on PS5 and Xbox Series X first before us PC gamers get it. Doesn't make sense. Rockstar can make so much more money too if they just release it to the PC gamers as well, because we actually make a large majority of the gaming industry, and a lot of people don't know that we actually take up. I think it's like 43% compared to 56, but it's a good amount that we actually take up. So that's like, I'm surprised that they're willing to do that unless they're going to optimize it even better for PC, but it's hard to say. What's up, Stories? What's up? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're enjoying it. For everybody who's just coming in, we talk about PCs and tech. And you can feel free to ask any questions about PC builds, or if you want to know about the latest news about the RTX 5060s and the 5060 Ti. Also, the latest news with the Intel Battle Mage, how they're supposedly they're actually going under R&D for their newest Battle Mage, which is supposed to be a higher tier card. But again, there was no real details released about it. There's just details that they are researching the card, but it's unknown if it's going to be more for gamers, or if it's going to be more targeted for professionals, or who knows, Intel might even abandon that whole sector. But hopefully they don't. Hopefully they continue to develop GPUs, because we could really use more competition if that's the case. And I think the biggest problem is the new standard for gaming price changes with GTA 6, since Ubisoft is being trashed nowadays. I agree. I agree, Ubisoft. Actually, you know what's funny? I could give it out on live stream here, but I don't even think anybody wants it. I think I have a free Jedi Survivor key, so whoever takes it down first can definitely have it. It's for PC if you want to get it, and I bet you have to download it. I wonder if you could use it on Steam or not, or you have to download the Ubisoft launcher. But anyway, I do have a key for it, which I will type into the chat. And when I do, anybody is free to use it, because I'm definitely not going to play it anyway. But it's Star Wars. I think it's Star Wars. I forget what it's called, but it's the one Ubisoft released for sure. I know that. But I will be just putting it in because I don't want it. And any other stuff that I get from Ubisoft, I'll just put it on stream so anybody can take it, because I don't like their games anyway currently. So yes, it's on there. That's how bad it is. It's like they really want people to go on there. As a matter of fact, so stay tuned real quick, because I'll just give out the key. So if anybody wants this key, feel free to take it. Let me see. Hopefully there's no real requirements for you to go through, but I'm going to give it out. Let me just go into my email here so I can give it to you guys, because before I forget. So I'm giving out a Jedi key right now. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled open for it. Let's see. Where is it at? It is right here, I think. Not this one. Where is it? Let me just type in. And here it is. You ready? So pay attention, chat. Feel free to take this. This is the Star Wars Outlaws edition. So feel free to take this if you want. So you ready? So whoever puts this in is free to take it. Watch it still be available. That is the key. That is the key, guys. Let me see. Yep. All right, perfect. Hopefully you guys got it too through. Is there an issue with this? The funny thing is sometimes YouTube will have this weird issue where... Did you guys get it on YouTube too? Hopefully you guys did. It seems that it only popped up on Twitch on my end for some reason. I'll put it through here too, just in case. There you go. Ah, yeah, that's strange. Make sure that I'm signed in here. Alright, perfect. Yeah, that should be okay. Alright, so anybody who is in the chat, feel free to take that key. You can certainly take it. That is... Alright, perfect. Alright, good. I'm glad you guys got it. Feel free to take that key. I don't know if you have to go through Ubisoft or not. Let me see. I'll let you guys know right now. I'm going to see what the email says. It says... Let's see. Let's see. Doesn't say. Qualifying products during this purchase period established by... You have to visit the software offer Intel. Oh, the offer site. And log into your account. Oh, come on. And that's... What a waste. So it says you have to go here. Hopefully you guys can... Hopefully it works for you guys. Whoever takes it. But you have to go here. There you go. So that's where you got to go to unlock that key. And if hopefully it works for you guys. You might need to have something Intel in your system, I think. If you do, then it should work. If you don't, let me know. I'll try to figure out a way and try to send it to whomever wants it. But anyway, to get back on topic about the RTX 5060s Ti, I think it's honestly a bit ridiculous that it's sold out as quick as it did. Don't you guys think so? Because especially for the performance level, I'm surprised that nobody actually looked over the benchmarks first before purchasing a 5060 or 5060 Ti. Especially that you're purchasing a card thinking it should be better than the last generation. Then it turns out that it's not really that much better. It turns out it scored a little bit worse. And if you take a look at the benchmarks, it's a bit quite disappointing there. But so I say, personally, I say the 5060 Ti should be out of anyone's mind. Now, if I were to give you a list on the top cards to get for this year, for 2025, I would say the first card on the list is going to be an AMD card, actually. It's going to be AMD's 9070 XT. I highly recommend that card because it's quite impressive. And again, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. So I'm just saying, from just testing the 9070 XT, it really is impressive. The only complaint I have about it, I have these the Sapphire Nitro Plus. I have that edition of the 9070 XT. The only complaint that I do have of it is that there is coil whine when you go into game. When you go into game, then you hear it. But if that doesn't really bother you as much, say if you're like just idling on your PC, you won't hear it. But if you do go into game, you will certainly hear it. That's the only issue that you have. So Average Gamer XP says, I bought a 5080 ASUS TUF yesterday for $1489.99 after tax, $1,600. Should I have waited? Unfortunately, I don't think the situation is going to get a whole lot better right now. That's probably the best you're going to get. So ASUS TUF, that might be the overclock edition, right? You probably have the overclock one, I'm assuming. Because if that's just for the standard RTX 5080, that's a little high. But you purchased it from Micro Center, right? I'm assuming? Or did you purchase it from Newegg? So Steven says, yeah, for this year, the average gamer does not care about specs. The general wants the newest and latest technology. what's a low price. And that's why I highly recommend going with AMD's GPUs, because they are quite impressive. Their AMD GPUs, especially, that's number one I got to put on the list. Then number two would have to be the RTX, probably the RTX 5080, I would say. I wouldn't even say the 5070 Ti, because that wasn't even that impressive to me. Man, this year is a little rough on cards when you really think about it. Even though there's a lot of cards that are out there, just the other cards are kind of depressing. Like when you see the benchmarks, especially compared to the last generation, it's not a large scale improvement. So if you're coming from the 40 series, I wouldn't even waste time just looking at cards. Or if you have a 7800 XTX, I wouldn't even really bother looking at cards either. I would just wait for another generation, especially for it to improve. So to be honest, if you were to wait, it would probably take 1 to 3 years for the prices to go down. And I agree, it's going to take some time. I mean, take a look at the RTX 40 series, right? And for those who had the RTX 4090, RTX 4080, those cards are still very expensive. So if you were to purchase that used, you would be still paying quite the premium for it. Even though the RTX 4090, when they first released, was $1,500, that's how much they are selling for now, currently, in the used GPU market. So that kind of really messed up the whole flow when Nvidia decided to mark their card for $2,000, the RTX 5090 specifically. And then now, if you were to get like a RTX 5090, it's really hard to get one under $3,000 now. So that kind of messed up everything there, just in the used GPU market. And I haven't checked how the RTX 4080s are looking, but I would imagine they're probably a little bit better. You could probably get them, I hope, at least like for around like 900 or maybe 800, just say, assuming how the market is. Yeah, feel free to ask a question. I can't say the name properly. I apologize for that. But yeah, feel free. Feel free to ask a question. Will Nvidia cards go up in price? More hard to find since a government is requiring an import license and Jensen Vince. You know what? There's a whole debacle between that with Jensen and China. It's quite interesting too. Well, apparently this is also another rumor that I heard, that Jensen went to go visit over to China, and apparently they're going to halt production, not stop selling, but they're just going to hold it for now until they figure out exactly how this issue that we're going through will go through, because they don't know how to price anything, and they're not sure how much it's going to really cost anymore. So apparently he went over there because of the whole chipset issue, that we're not allowed to send chips over to China. So that's a very interesting case. But Destiny says, is AMD GPU idle power better this generation, or is it still high? The idle power is pretty decent. It's not very high, I gotta say, though. It is certainly kind of glitchy, though. Like if you look at the VRAM side, like if you follow it through, say, hardware monitor, it's going to give you weird numbers. Sometimes they'll be accurate, sometimes it's not. It will say that you have like 500,000 megabytes of VRAM, which doesn't make any sense at all, right? Or sometimes it works perfectly fine, but the idle has been great. It's very quiet, I gotta say, for the most part. And I should have hooked up that system so I could show you guys. Maybe I will in a little bit. I'll hook up that system so I could show you how it sounds. I'll put the mic up to it so you guys get a good indication of how it sounds. But I do have the video up on my YouTube channel too, and you guys can take a look at it as well if you want to see that. So, gonna join on Twitch in a minute. Gotcha, champ. Good to see you. So Average Gamer says, I got the overclock version. I was originally supposed to buy a 4080 Super. Let me see. Oh, sorry, Kate. Let me go back to Hades' question real quick. What part of my PC do I need to upgrade for games to run more smoothly? Can you share your specifications? If you share your specifications, I could help you out a little bit better, because then I can target and get a better idea to see how we can improve your PC, because sometimes it could be something small. It might just need a little bit of optimizations. But going back to Average Gamer, he says, I got the overclock edition. I was supposed to buy that 4080 Super back in December, but I listened to YouTubers who had to wait for the 50 series. First time PC builder, by the way, so months of waiting. Yes, that is painful. I really feel for you. I gotta say, if it's the overclock edition, that's honestly not a bad price then. If it wasn't the overclock edition, then I would kind of question it. But I would say go ahead and keep the 5080, especially because it is. And I think it would still be, you'd still be impressed by the performance, especially because Nvidia, I gotta say, does this really well, which is if you're into ray tracing or path tracing, they're excellent with that. They're also great with like doing whole AI models if you're into that as well. But I would say keep the RTX 5080 overclock edition then. That shouldn't be any issue. So Destiny says, why does it sound strange? What do you think about Nintendo's stupid prices? I feel that's ridiculous. I agree that is completely ridiculous. I mean, I would much rather get this here, and which I will show you, which is the ROG Ally, right? You get the ROG Ally for the price of a Nintendo Switch, I guarantee you. Just like the standard one. Doesn't even have to be the ROG Ally X. And this is an excellent device. But compared to what Nintendo is trying to do, they're trying to give you a handheld device with a LCD screen. Sure, it's 1080p. And you're using an older Nvidia Turing GPU in it. So it's not going to produce 4K graphics. Honestly, I'm not even sure how they're going to produce these 4K graphics that they're claiming. I know it's going to be docked, but I don't know what's in the internals of the dock. Is there an internal GPU in there as well? Or is there some sort of upscaler? Because it's not going... I really am curious to see how it's going to look in 4K. Because I bet it's going to go through the whole DLSS thing. I know it's going to be a custom chip anyway, but it's got to be a lot of DLSS going on with Nintendo Switch 2, I gotta say. And then... plus the pricing of it, $450 is way too expensive, because the price gap between again, if they just went OLED, this wouldn't have been a problem in the first place, because the price gap between a LCD, which is $30 just from the manufacturers, compared to an OLED, which you'll spend, I think, $70. It's not that much more, but you can literally just put an OLED screen in there, and you would just sway people to purchase it because of that. But to do what you do, and especially with Mario Kart World, you have to pay, what is it, $80 if you don't purchase it with the Nintendo Switch. But if you do, then you pay $500. That's just ridiculous. But let's see. Let me go back down here. Let me just go back here. Excuse me, guys. Just looking through the chat now, just to pick out where I can pick up the topic. Okay, so Katie says AMD's Ryzen 5 3600 6-core processor, 3.59 gigahertz. Okay, so you are on the Zen 4 architecture. So I would say just upgrade the RAM first. Upgrade the RAM and and what type of GPU do you have? I gotta say, because that's going to make a large difference too, depending on your GPU. Because just upgrade to 32 for sure, because 16 gigabytes is really minimal now, especially when it comes to gaming. Yes, and that's the crazy part. Apparently, the pre-orders are supposed to come through, I think, on the 24th for Nintendo Switch. 24th or the 26th. It's one of those days. But pre-orders are supposed to go through, so you can pre-order a Nintendo Switch 2 if you wanted to. But I certainly won't. I'll tell you that right now. I definitely won't spend $450 on a device where it feels like it's back from 2014. So... but again, it's like if you compare it to the original Switch, it's just a shame. I mean, usually Nintendo does great when it comes to innovation, but there's nothing really impressive or innovative about the product. A Joy-Con can turn into a mouse. That's not really a big deal, to be honest. It's just motion control at that point. or if you're just using a sensor, just like a mouse does. But so it has been such an interesting experience as a console gamer going from PC with everything has transpired. It has, right? Tell me, you gotta let us know, like, what is the biggest difference you feel from going through the whole PC, going to PC from consoles? Because I know that's quite the leap. I know that's quite the big leap, in fact. And I know it feels good to have a lot of flexibility, I bet, right? And Dusty Cake says, I heard the new Xbox is being worked on. Yes, and that's a big thing. The new Xbox will have Steam and everything in there. So you can actually, that's the crazy part. So it's going to be a lot more universal now when it comes to gaming, especially when it comes to Xbox. Xbox is supposed to also be portable. Apparently the new PlayStation is also supposed to be portable as well. I think it's going to be all in one, like a Switch, not like two different devices as what they're claiming. It's probably going to be Switch-like, I bet. So, Nvidia GeForce RTX 2060. Okay. So, from there, I would say, okay, so two things I would say. I would upgrade your GPU, I would say for sure. Definitely upgrade the GPU, even to the 3060. It would make a large, tremendous difference, especially from the RTX 20th gen. And then the second part would be upgrading to a 32 gigabytes of RAM, I would say. And more than likely, you'll be a lot happier if you just do those two things. It will run way more smooth if you do that. Because 2060 is definitely one of those GPUs where it's going to the wayside at this point. But yeah, that card is dated for sure. So if you're at 1080p, you have a ton of good options. Yes. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you go with 30 series, especially on a 1080p monitor, that's also a good point. If you're gaming on just HD, that would be the way to go for sure. I would say go for at least like a 3060, 3070. You would feel pretty happy with that, honestly. And then if you're just trying to improve your performance overall, and you don't have to go for maximum quality, you can certainly go for better settings. With the settings, you'll see some sort of presets typically when it comes to games. You'll see like ultra, you'll see like say high, medium, low, and you want to set it at like say medium for now or low, and just get an idea of where your frames are looking, and depending on the type of games you are playing too, because there's a lot of variables when it comes to it, but those are definitely the two pieces of hardware I would highly recommend to change into the PC that you would see a better performance for sure. So yeah, exactly. That's why I'm saying that Champ is completely correct that 3060s and 37s are much more cheaper now. They're definitely a lot more easy and obtainable compared to going with a 40 or 50 series at the time. You could go 40 series, but 4060 is not really great. A 4070 is probably, I would say, is better for sure, but 4060 isn't that great. And I feel like, honestly, the 30th, the RTX 30th series is really like the better option, to be honest, because that was like the last real good generation, I'd say, from Nvidia. But once it gets to the 40th and the 50th series, that's when it gets kind of questionable, depending on what you get. I mean, it's super questionable depending on the card that you're using too. So Dusty Cake says, I noticed that. Thank you. Wouldn't be easy to switch out as someone with not much PC build. I see. I mean, we can certainly help you. We could go through a live stream, show you exactly how it is. Feel free to check out my YouTube channel as I do explain like a lot of like GPU upgrades and everything. It's not as hard as it seems. It'll probably take you, especially like with a 3060 or 3070, it'll probably take you like probably 15 minutes. So Dusty Cake says only certain studios make good AAA games now. Yeah, I agree. There's not a lot of studios that make great games. And there's a game that I've been meaning to play. I've been really wanting to play Kingdom Come 2, I think it is. And I heard it's really good. and the RAM is easy to swap. GPU, I will watch video. Yeah, it's really not too complicated. Of course, just make sure the PC is off. And actually, let me see. I'm not gonna do it with that GPU, but dang. If I had I do have a motherboard. I wish I had a GPU laying around. If I did, I would definitely show you on live on how to do so. But there's usually a quick release, but you're coming from AM4, so yeah, I'm pretty sure there's still probably still the latch. I'm assuming you probably still have the latch like for your PCI Express. It's going to be a graphics card will be located to where you plug in your display at. So wherever you plug in your display, and usually it's going to be on the lower portion, which will, let me just show you this. Let me see. It's better if I show you because we'll swap over to this unit over here, which is a Corsair 5000 case. This one has a 4090 in it, right? So let's see here. Get some lighting over here. And I'll bring you guys a bit closer. All right, perfect. Let me just raise the camera up just a bit. We should be good to go. All right. So I'm gonna show you exactly where it is. So I'm going to unplug this so I can flip this around here. Let me just raise the mic. Okay. So whatever that was. Okay, so on the back of here, actually kind of hard to see, but hopefully you guys see that. Right there in the back of here is where you're going to, that's where your GPU is. It's usually going to dock like this. I just got port covers on them currently right now. There you go. And then when you take apart the side of your PC case, you'll be able to see it a lot better. It's just going to look like a card. This case is heavy because it has a 1650 watt power supply plus a 4090 in there. All right, there you go. And the graphics card will look something like this, but the for the 2060, it's not going to be this massive. It's going to be much more smaller. So don't question it if you see it. It's going to look something like this. So to uninstall it, there's going to be a latch right next to your GPU, like right there. Just, of course, have the power off. Then you unplug it. You're going to have different ports than this one. And then you're going to be able to unlatch it and make sure to unscrew it here. And then once you do, you'll be able just to pull it out and put a new one in. Hopefully that makes a lot more sense. But hopefully that's not as complicated as it looks. So Trollface Gamer says, hey, my GPU is so big that if I plug in 3x 8-pin PCI Express cables, I can't close my front panel. Any suggestions? Okay, so if your GPU is that big, if it's unable to fit in there, oh, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely show you the cable management. If you have a problem that your GPU is so big that it's you're unable to close your front panel, then you're going to need, I would say, you're going to need different cables for sure. You're probably going to need more flexible cables. The ones that usually the power supply comes with aren't as good. Usually the ones with the power supplies, they are really stiff. So you can definitely get like a third-party cable to do it, and usually they're a lot more flexible. This one is a Thermaltake one, so they're not too bad, but this one isn't as rigid, but a lot of them are. Like if I were to pull out a Corsair one, which I could easily do right here. Now, for example, Corsair is very rigid. It'll look something like this, right? Because you got the PCIe Express problem here that it's sticking out the case. I should have dropped the lighting a bit so you could see it a little bit better. But it's going to look something like this, and it's very rigid and stiff, right? But if you use a different cable, which I'll show you, which is much more flexible, then it should give you less issues. So, for example, Seasonic actually makes some great cables here. And see, for example, look at this. Look how flexible this is, right? This gives you less issues because, again, you have much more flexibility compared to a very rigid cable. So just swap out the cables. That would be the suggestion that I would recommend. And let me just turn this around, show you the cable management of this PC. Let me plug in this other light too, so you guys get better lighting over here. Looks kind of dark. There we go. Bring this over. That's better, right? And let me just bring this up real quick. Right now I'm just going to bring up this ISO real quick so you guys can see better. All right, I guess it won't let me right now. But anyway, let me just flip this around. No problem. So I'm going to show you how the side of this case looks. Very heavy case. It's all glass. All right. So once I pop this open, you'll see the cable management right there. Probably hard to see it because of the door. Actually, take that off. There you go. How's that look? This is actually supposed to stick, but looks like it fell off due to heat. But that's how it looks. It has like 3 different modules in there. I always tuck the AIO cables around the VRM heatsink instead of crossing it over. Yeah, sometimes I know exactly what you mean, because sometimes they are really a pain to deal with. It'd be nice to, like, if it had some sort of insert or some sort of another hole that you can easily put it through. Like, it would be always nice if there's a way that it could be sorted through that angle. This one, the cable management's not too bad. I think I like it better on my other motherboard, actually. But this one isn't too bad. I'll allow it since very decent considering how many cables you had to run. Yeah, it was a lot of cables. And actually, since we're here, I could pull out the SSD here. There we go. So just to let you guys know, for those who are interested in the giveaway, yes, there are quite a few rat's nests I had dealt with before. So that's, yeah, just remember changing your brand Nvidia. That is also true. Great pointer. If you are switching different GPU brands, make sure to uninstall the drivers. If you're not, if you're staying with Nvidia, nothing extra is unnecessary. Back then, you used to have to uninstall drivers no matter what, but now it's not as bad. But if you are switching from, again, a different brand, Destiny's correct, make sure to uninstall that driver. But for those, I see for those on the vertical, doesn't see the cable management as well. There you go. They can see it a bit better. And now the camera's just floating a little bit. There we go. I'll float back over. But I am doing a giveaway for this, which is the 990 Pro with the heatsink. And unfortunately, the prize winner never claimed it. Sent them 3 emails, tried to contact them. Same thing with the other merch. They're never able to, I wasn't able to reach contact with them. And because of that, there will be another giveaway. If you're interested in joining the giveaway, you just have to go onto my website, which is chrismizo.com, just as how it sounds. And you're going to see the same logo all the way on the bottom of the page, but he's holding a gift. Just click it, and that's how you can enter the contest. So very simple. So just go to chrismizo.com and just go to the bottom of the page. You'll see the same logo, which is Jonah holding a gift. Just click that logo and that will take you to the giveaway. Very easy to sign up and to join for sure. But yeah, what do you guys think of this PC build? Actually, this is one of the builds that I'm actually going to put up on the website as well. And for those who are looking for a PC build or just wants to purchase a PC build, this will go up on there soon. The website also does have its own store, so if you are looking for something to upgrade, or if you're looking to get a gaming PC and you don't want to build one, I could certainly send you a PC just like this over. Again, the specs with this one is pretty good. This one is, again, it has a RTX 4090. It does have a AMD Ryzen 7950X 3D. It does have up to 32 gigabytes of RAM. Let's turn this around real quick. Yeah. But it certainly is heavy. Thermal takes 1650 watt power supply, which is massive. If you see the gauge of the wire, let me show you. It's just humongous. Look at this thing. Isn't that huge? Alright. Just gotta solve this TikTok puzzle thing. There we go. Sorry guys, just give me a moment. There we go. Okay, perfect. You don't see the logo on my site? Oh, on the bottom of the page? It should be there. But you know what? Maybe I have to clear the cache or something, because I just put it up there yesterday. 80 degrees Celsius VRAM temps good. How long terms? 80's high. Is it on load? I'm assuming it's on load. If you're getting 80 degrees VRAM temps. Oh. Oh, thanks for following, Horace Frame. Thank you for following. I appreciate it. But yeah, so this is it also has the Corsair H150i cooler, and it also has the ASUS X670E Crosshair Hero motherboard. So it does have the button on there for those who like the button. Of course, it has the Gigabyte WindForce overclock RTX 4090 in it. But I will post it up on the website. I'll try to give a decent price. I'm not going to charge for shipping, but again, everything's going to be all inclusive in the price when I do put it on the website. So for those who are looking for it, I'll just type it in. Originally, I had posted this on the website without the GPU, but I figure I put a 4090 in it because I don't think people are as interested in just buying the case without the 4090. If you are, you can go ahead and purchase it if you'd like, but I feel that people are looking for a 4090. And when I ship it, of course, I'm going to have to make sure it's cushioned very well, depending on how far it is. If you pick it up locally, that's great too. But again, we can definitely talk more details on that later. But anyway, if you want to join that free giveaway, it's going to be for the Samsung 990 Pro. And it does come with the heatsink, which is nice. So you can put it inside of a PS5 easily, or you can put it inside of your PC. And I will be giving out some merch. So make sure to join that giveaway. It's at chrismizo.com. So let me go back over here and put this all back together. But you can also set it vertically too on this case, which is nice. It sucks on the newer ones because they don't actually, you have to buy a whole separate bracket, because on the back of this 5000X case, you could actually unscrew it here and you can put the card right there, which is nice. So you could choose to mount it vertically, but right now on this case, it's mounted horizontally. Also has some decent connections here. It does have USB-C, and it has up to 4 of them, and it does have USB 3.2. It has 2.5 gigabit connection compared to the 10 gigabit connection on the new X870Es. So Random View says, can I turn off my UPS when I'm not using the computer, when sleeping or going to work, or do I need it turned on? I recommend just leaving those on, because you don't want to, you want to make sure that your PC's safe, especially that you have one, but I would just leave it. But that's what it comes with on this board, as a the custom flashback button, and it does also have the BIOS reset button as well. But overall, a great PC, but again, a very heavy one for sure. Let me and just putting it back together is really nice and easy, which is, I'll go back here to the side of it. I'm gonna fix that before it goes out anyway, but I'll clean it up a little bit more. Forgot how this case was specifically, but the good thing is it has a door here, so it actually makes it look even more clean, which is really nice. Right there. Let me open it up just like this. Be a bit easier. Let me stand on the other side. I'm kind of reaching far. Sometimes working on camera isn't as easy. There we go. Perfect. And now, the good thing about this, it also has filters on there too. So you can actually pop them out and clean them, which makes it a lot easier on the Corsair 5000X case. Oh, got it backwards. Snap in. And this PC was prepared just in case if it did require two 12-volt high power ports, but the 5090s don't. There we go. Close that up. Whew, that was already a workout as it is. That case is probably like a good, it's got to be at least a good, probably 60 pounds or 50 pounds. There we go. Perfect. And Jonah, usually he's over here, but he went to his bed today. drop this back down. There we go. So again, feel free to ask any questions at all if you have any questions about PC builds. And if for those who are just joining, I'm Chris Mizo. We talk about PC and tech on this channel. So if you're into that kind of stuff, feel free to ask questions, or if you're curious about upgrading any certain components or you're trying to make any improvements, feel free to ask. But it certainly has been a very interesting year when it comes to PC building, especially in the graphics card sector. I'm hoping Intel becomes a lot more competitive. I am hoping that AMD makes improvements. I mean, they've done improvements already as it is. They've actually had 10 times more sales than they originally thought that they were going to have. But I want them to come out with some high-end GPUs and not just focus on just the mid-tier or the low-end GPU market, because they can certainly be a lot more competitive with Nvidia, especially because of everything that's been going on recently with the 50 series. And if you see it back there, that's actually a 50 series in the back of this behind me that's in there right now, and I've been running a lot of tests on it currently, and it has that extra fan on there, but I feel personally, to me, it looks a bit tacky. It looks a bit crazy. So the 58, so Darth V says 5080 tough for half. You could get so that's the other debate too. For the price of the 5080, you could certainly get a 9070 XT. The 9070 XT is incredible, which is right there. It's sitting on the floor right now. I want to run some more tests on it. It's been a great card, very incredible. Even if I pull up the benchmarks, you would be quite impressed, especially for the pricing. You still can get a very good GPU. Well, that's well under $1,000. I bought that GPU, the Sapphire Nitro Plus. It was, I think, $770. So after tax and everything, it came out to like $800, I think it was. But overall, it's a great card, and it performs and competes against the RTX 4080, and it could even compete as in some aspects of the RTX 5080. Now, if you're talking compared to the now if you're comparing things such as ray tracing, or if you're comparing path tracing, that's where Nvidia has the better edge at, of course. But it's not that far behind when it comes to the ray tracing side. It's about 2 generations behind on the path tracing side. But for those, it might not exactly matter, because again, those are just extra features just to make your game look more improved. But again, developers could decide to actually make their games and develop their games to where they can actually be optimized, what it should be. And for those who don't know, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but allegedly this whole Elder Scrolls Oblivion is supposed to be coming out soon too. And if it does, it'd be great. Apparently, it's supposed to come out on the 21st. They said it was supposed to be a big surprise. Darth V says Micro Center top dog power color red devil $900 out the door. Big card, runs cool, overclock, and silent switch. You have an excellent card. It has a dual BIOS. I love those cards with dual BIOS. Are you thinking about flashing the AMD BIOS is the question. I know you won't put it on the silent side. But that's an awesome deal that you picked it up for. Especially that Micro Center is starting to get more stock more readily available. And I think it's mainly because there is a lot more cards available now. You got the RX 9070 XTs, you have 5060s, 5070s, 5080s, 5090s. You have a whole list of different cards. You have B8, the 560s and 570s from Intel. You have the Battle Mages. So there is quite a selection. If you guys remember, I think it was about a month ago when we went live, we all went to Micro Center and we went to go pick out the different PC parts to build this Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT build that there was barely any cards at the time. The only cards that they had was I think a 3060 and a 4060 for the Nvidia side, and for the AMD side it was only 6600s. That was it. And then for Intel, they didn't have really anything at all. They had their older cards, which was I forget what they call those ones. I'm a little bit behind on the Intel side. But I gotta say, they didn't have the Battle Mage cards though. It was the older versions, which were the cards that, of course, nobody wanted. But yeah, Team Red. Amazon wants 900 plus. And that's the crazy part. If you try to purchase off of a retailer, you try to purchase off of like Newegg or something, they really just are ripping people off, it seems. So what do you think about the benchmarks that claim that 5080 can get within a 5% margin of the 4090 with a decent manual overclock? I don't buy it, and I'll tell you why. Because when I tested that 5070, it was I gotta say it's a bit underwhelming compared to a 4090, because that was the claim, right? They said the RTX 5070 could compete with the 4090, but just seeing those benchmarks makes me really think, how's this even close? Even with DLSS and with frame generation on it, still doesn't get like close to a 4090. So that statement was completely false. Let alone a 5080. You really got to really work it. You really got to work that hard to really even get close to a 4090. But again, capacity is another issue too. It can't compete against 24 gigabytes of VRAM, and compared to 16. I mean, I could see maybe if they could come out with like a super, like a 5080 super, maybe I could see that. I could see it become more competitive then. But as of now, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And if I get a 5080 in, I'll definitely try it. I'll definitely try to push it close to a 4090, but that's something we'll see. But yeah, so for the cards, for everyone who wants to purchase it, they are becoming more and more available. So that is the great news. So you can certainly get a GPU soon. I believe Nvidia will come out with their cards very shortly. If you notice, like MSI, and if you notice like these other retailers, they've been selling their cards as bundles, which is pretty wild. Even they're pulling that Newegg move to where they're selling their... If you buy a GPU from MSI and you buy a 5090, say Supreme, then you have to purchase it with a monitor, their MSI monitor, a 40-inch OLED monitor, plus I think it was a motherboard, power supply, and you also get the GPU with it. You got to spend like $5,000 or $6,000 to get the GPU. So it's kind of, I feel like that's kind of a dirtbag move, to be honest. They shouldn't be doing that. So do not waste money under 16 gigabytes of VRAM or a low-end RAM card. You are wasting $500 to $600 to basically upgrade later. Go full in 9070 XT. You hear Darthy? He is just telling you. 9070 XT is impressive. I'm telling you. You got to see these benchmarks. I was impressed with how much what the score was when I got off of Monster Hunters with a 9070 XT. It was amazing. So for the person that was trying to upgrade their card, even going for the 9070 is a great card. The 9070 XT, if you have the budget to do it, you'll see a large scale improvement, a big improvement compared to the 2060, I gotta say. So if you're thinking about going that direction, it was Katie that said this. Go 9070 XT if you can, if you could get your hands on it. That's the thing. Right now it's kind of hard, but AMD should be coming out with stock soon, and allegedly they're supposed to come out with their 9060 soon. So we'll see. We'll see very soon. All right, let's go into. I'll just read you off the benchmarks real quick because I just got to share it with you. They're that impressive, and excuse me, they're that impressive when it comes to the benchmarks. Sapphire, here it is. So this was with the 9600X, which is not it's a great CPU, I gotta say. Great CPU if you're on a budget. Again, we built this PC for well under $2,000. You can certainly build a PC for well under a RTX 5090 because this friggin' thing costs. Oh, just swap battery real quick. Apologize for that. Just give me a moment. All right, there we go. Perfect. Seems I gotta get new batteries for this camera. But so for the 9600X, it's quite impressive. The 9600X actually has some great numbers here, and this is with PBO, and this is of course without ray tracing. Now, Tomb Raider got up to 181 frames. Oh, is my audio a bit low? Let me see here. I'll raise it up. How's that, fellas? Is that a lot better now? I raised it up a bit too, so hopefully you guys can hear me a lot better. And for Tomb Raider, it's 181 frames for the RX 9070 XT. Also for Call of Duty Black Ops 6, it got up to 136. For Hitman, it got up to 221. And for Final Fantasy, got a score of 9,312. With Monster Hunter's Wild, it got up to 97.35. And for Black Myth Wukong, it got up to 108 frames. Now, with when it comes to their frame generation, when it comes to their FSR, you can get up to 145 on Cyberpunk 2077. And with Wukong, you can get up to 181 frames. Monster Hunter's Wilds went up to 172. And this is for a card that's under $1,000. So it's a great price target. Especially this was without ray tracing, without any overclocks or anything like that. But even with overclocks and undervolting, you can still get some great numbers off of it. With undervolting it, I was able to pull up to 172 frames with frame generation on Cyberpunk 2077. Without it, it's 87.75. Now with Tomb Raider, it got up to 100 and... No, that's not right. With Metro Exodus, it went up to 71.85. And then with Black Myth Wukong, it went with 28. This is all with, this is all with ray tracing. Without ray tracing, and then it goes up to 270. That's insane. 270 on Cyberpunk with ray tracing. I mean, without ray tracing. Well, with AMD's 9070 XT. And then with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I was able to pull up to 185. Now, this is all on a 1440p display. And with the even 4K, that just tells you right there, you can certainly have 4K capability. I just haven't had a chance to hook it up. I'm waiting currently on a monitor that's supposed to be coming in, which is 4K. I could always hook it up to my other display over there, but that's something I want to test out too. But on Hitman, it went up to 256, and Monster Hunter Wilds went up to 178.52. So it certainly has a lot of capability. So if you're thinking from going to AMD, that's a great decision, honestly. Going to AMD is a great choice from Nvidia, and I gotta say, it's something that you would not regret. You would be actually really impressed with the card. And just like what Darth was saying, he has the Power Color Devil card where he has the dual BIOS and where you can set it on silent or performance mode. And I bet it's a little bit more quiet than the Sapphire Nitro Plus, because the Nitro Plus has a bit of coil whine on it when you do turn it on in game, and it could get a little irritating for those who don't game on a headset, because then you're gonna hear the coil whine. They'll probably get to you. But for those who are just joining in or don't know who I am, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech, and right now we're just going over different PC builds. Feel free to ask questions about your PC, or if you want to see any type of improvements, also feel free to ask. We can certainly help you. Everybody here loves tech. The whole fan bam does, and we can certainly try to help you with it. And again, for those who haven't been part of the free giveaway, and want to join it, you can feel free to go to my website, which is chrismuso.com. It'll be on the bottom. You'll see Jonah holding the gift, and that's how you would enter the free giveaway, which is a Samsung 990 Pro SSD, 1 terabyte with the heatsink, so you can put it with the PS5, or you don't have to put it with the PS5, depending if you have a PC or not. And I am looking forward to see what Intel really does this year, especially with their new CEO. I'm hoping their GPU sector does improve a bit. I'm curious about the Battle Mage cards because I haven't benchmarked them myself yet, or got to really take a better dive at them, because I'm just curious to see what type of numbers that they could pull. I know that they're going to be lower than AMD for sure, and they're definitely like very, very affordable cards. In fact, the B570s, let me see, a B570 AMD Battle Mage is about Battle Mage B570. Let's see. So right now, one Newegg, it's about $300, right, for this card. It's 10 gigabytes, and it is G6, and its core clock goes up to 2.6 gigahertz. So it looks like a nice card. I'm just curious about the performance-wise. I mean, it got excellent rating too. So, Gamer says, do you think Nvidia will eventually disengage with the PC manufacturing business? PC manufacturing for Nvidia seems to be something that they are distancing themselves from. That is a great topic to bring up for sure, because what he did mention here is it's pretty true. Like there is a good indication that Nvidia could end up leaving the gaming industry, and you can see the lack of care, especially when it comes to the whole developing their products for the PC gaming industry. It's almost like they do it because they feel like they have to do it, and the only reason why they feel that they have to do it is because that is one of the things that they honestly did. Thank you for the follow, Sugo ETV. And I gotta say, Nvidia, Darby, I needed that one. Nvidia seems to be headed that way. Yeah, I mean, they certainly do, because just put it this way: 20 billion gets invested into PC gaming, right? That's it, only 20 billion. The other 900, it's like another 970, no, not even 970, what am I saying? It's like a 2.8 billion, not billion, trillion. I'm messing up my numbers here. 1.8 trillion. 1.8 trillion goes to their whole business industry side when it comes to the industrial side. That's how little we are compared to everyone else. We're like a very, very small portion. We're only 20 billion compared to 1.7. Thanks for the follow, Dorothy. I appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing. And okay. What's up, John? Oh, okay. I was about to say. But yeah, it certainly seems that way, because Nvidia has a lack of care when it comes to producing their products nowadays. It almost seems like they produce a product because they only have to, because that's like where they practically started from. And Nvidia will continue to produce products for PCs because until it gets to the point where they can kind of phase out. But at the point now, because of they're very good at making graphics cards, and that's what makes it very difficult for them to leave the whole PC gaming industry. But I could see it happen. It won't happen, maybe not in the next 2 years. It'll happen probably more in the next 5 if I were to predict that. If I was to take a guess, it would probably be like around 4 to 5 years we would see something like that. And when it does happen, it's not just going to be like just a drop off. It'll be very gradual. They'll probably come out like with their final edition card. I guarantee you when it does come out, like say if it's an Nvidia 7090, we'll just say 7090, right? When that card comes out, it's going to be a very good card. That's when they're actually going to really put a lot of effort in their card. But that would be the way they would step out. They would come out with the 9070. I mean, not 9070. This now they're so similar now. But they would come out with the 7090, and the 7090 would be this excellent card, and it would be like one of those limited edition cards. So it's going to be very difficult to get your hands on it. And on top of it, it would be very expensive if you were to, especially in the whole scalper market, it would be very expensive. So I could see that happening. And then by then, AMD would have to be, for sure, I think AMD would be very competitive to Nvidia then. And it would be a good time for Nvidia to step out if they wanted to, because they're very focused on the whole LLMs and the whole AI learning type of aspect, and it seems like they are going to be fully dedicated to that whole sector. But again, time will tell. Who knows? Maybe Jensen will realize that he's kind of lacked in the whole PC gaming side, but he seems like he was very enthusiastic about it. But again, we'll see if he decides to do something like that to axe that department. It would be kind of sad, but at the same time, it would be not surprising to say at the least. But for those who are upgrading their cards, especially if you're thinking of doing it, don't be scared of AMD. Again, AMD is excellent when it comes to their cards, especially the 9070 XT. They actually sold 10 times more than they thought that they were going to sell. They were the underdog because, again, they came to CES 2025 empty-handed, and then they somehow were able to pull this big win. They sold 10 times more sales with much more of a quantity, with much more numbers when it came to delivering product, compared to Nvidia, where they didn't deliver as much product, but they claimed that they sold so many cards. Destiny says, I don't think Nvidia will leave gaming GPU marked because at some points the AI bubble will pop. And that seems like, in a way, I do hope for that to happen. But it's almost evolved to the point where AI is almost everywhere. I thought not that long ago, I gotta say, maybe about, I'd say, September or October of last year, I felt the same way. I thought AI is going to be just like a flash in the pan, similar to like 3D TVs or something like that, right? And another thing a lot of these companies do is they slap AI on everything, even though we know it's not AI, it's just another form of software. Just like how they have like this whole AI boost and AI overclocking. It's not really AI, it's always been there, it's just renamed to AI. But anyway, the point is, the real AI stuff, the real LLM machines, they're the ones that really do all the work, but eventually it's hard for it to stop. I could see it constantly evolving and everything, but I think Nvidia will have a lot more fierce competition, and I think it's going to definitely just like DeepSeek, right? DeepSeek was this big thing, and how it was competitive against Nvidia. Nvidia wasn't worried about it. Eventually, it dropped off. But again, there's going to be a lot of companies similar to, DeepSeek. There's going to be a lot more competition. Eventually, it'll get to the point where there's going to be enough AI developers for sure. But I do agree that Nvidia, I could see them. I feel like Nvidia, it's really hard for them because right now I feel like they want to put all their focus into AI. They want to put 100% efforts into it, but they feel like that they can't because they have a GPU sector to take care of. But then they kind of they're kind of like releasing these cards such as like the RTX 5060 and 5060 Ti just to put it out there because they know that's going to be a market that people are looking for. And they were right. There was people that bought it all up. It sold out right away. And but they just feel like they could just come out with anything at this point and people will just buy it up. And I just want to see Nvidia to go back to its innovation side when it comes to GPUs and not just manufacturing product to where because of the name people will purchase it. and not because of how good their product is, just because, just like other companies such as like Apple, right? They come out with these products because they hear the name, they know people will buy it, just like Nvidia. I just hope Nvidia could go back into its original spectrum and kind of really start innovating once again. But again, it's hard to say if Nvidia will ever go back to the way they were, is the real answer, I would say. But I gotta say, it's for everybody who is just coming in or curious what we're talking about. We were just talking about Nvidia. I'm Chris Mizo. We talk about PC and tech, and you can feel free to ask any questions, or if you have questions about PC builds or PC hardware. There was some things that I saw too, but I didn't get to answer it yet. But this gives me an opportunity to answer to some of those questions about the X670E and the X870E boards. And some people said that they felt that X870E boards were problematic, but is it really problematic? Is it really have issues? Sure, there are some issues, but the issues that I've heard mostly were things such as the quick release, or the quick release that ASUS featured, which again, personally, when I actually took it out, it really didn't seem that much of a problem. But again, that was just me. I didn't mess with it. I didn't constantly go in and out. But they did improve the design for those who have problems with those boards, where they removed the metal shielding that's in between the PCI Express card. And it's just one big metal shielding that's around the PCI Express slot instead of having one right in between. Even the X670E boards have that little metal trim that's between it. I noticed it when I was looking it over the other day. And it doesn't really catch on anything there, but of course the button does certainly make it a lot easier for those who are comfortable pulling out the card straight out the PCI Express bus. Now, you do have to pick it up very specifically. You got to pick it up from the back end first to lift up the card to release the card, because otherwise it will not release. If you pick it up from the other end away from the ports, then it will not release. That will give you issues. You have to always pull it from the back end, from what I've noticed. But Darth V says, how good is AI when you have slow internet? Computing always swings from client or client server or AI cloud. Nvidia is following the gravy train. Yeah, absolutely. They're getting to the point where they're just trying to make the quick sales, and that's it. They just want to, it's just easy for them to make it. And Sugo TV says RX 7600 or RTX 4060. That's a great question. 7600 or the 4060. I would say the RX 7600 has definitely more value to it. The 4060 is more like a 4050, to be honest. And that's why I kind of wanted to bring up like a little bit earlier about when Katie was trying to upgrade their card. The 30 series seemed to be like the last real good series. The 3060 was actually a 3060. But for some reason, the 40 series, the 4060 is really like a 4050. So I would say the RX 7600 would probably be the better way to go, to be honest. You would be just as happy with it, and it would cost way less than a 4060, I bet. Now, if you choose to go with RTX, if you choose to go to the 40 series, I would say go to at least the 4070. That would be more of an upgrade, I would say. But if you're not, and you just can only look at those two, go with the 7600. That would be the best bet, I would say. And of course, it would be very easy to optimize too on AMD, especially with their new Adrenaline software. It's very easy to set the controls and set the overclocking, the undervoltage, the boost clocks, whichever you would like. It's very easy to do with their software. So if you do use any other tuning software, such as EVGA Precision, which is a great tool, I think they still have it around. I hope they still have it around. And MSI's Afterburner is really good. All those tools are great, but the only issue with it is the fact that when you do use those tools with AMD, unfortunately, they do freeze up. So just use the tools that AMD does offer. It works just as good. And you can still use the overlay from like Rivera Tuner which I got to do a tutorial on, which I will make a video on that, where you can see what type of settings that you would like for your graphics card, your RAM. You could monitor your temperatures, your speeds. It's really good to have, especially if you're just curious to see how much power your PC is really pulling and how much temperatures is your PC pulling. But real quick, since I really just got to show you this, because I feel like, honestly, in my country, the RX 7600 and the 4060 had the same price point. Okay. But either way, I would say the 7600 would be the better way to go for sure, I think, in my opinion. But if you're more of a ray tracing person, then yeah, go 4060. It would make sense. Because again, like when it came to the 7600, then it wasn't as good with ray tracing. At that time, it was like 2 generations behind. But if you're more about gaming and you're looking to, if you're more on the gaming aspect of it, I would say 7600 is a great a card to go with. I'm assuming you also have a AMD processor, just assuming, right? If you have the AMD processor, it makes complete sense just to go AMD then. If you don't, if you have an Intel processor, I can see why you're hesitating and thinking of Nvidia. That would also make sense as well. But if I'm going to zoom in onto this PC real quick just to show you how ridiculous this looks. I didn't really fix it up or nothing yet, but let me go over here. Just to show you, right? This is the 5060. I mean, not 5060. This is the 5090. And if you're getting the 9700X, I would say, yeah, go for the 7600. You'd be happy even with the 9600X. It was quite impressive. And Darth V says, not your father's AMD, definitely less painful now. Before you had to uninstall AMD control panel, and yes, that was such a pain. Let me move this monitor back here. And I'm going to open this up so you guys can see it better instead of seeing a reflection. And hopefully you guys see that. Does that look a bit ridiculous to you? This is a 5090, right? But to me, this kind of looks rigged. Like, kind of looks a bit get rigged, right? The way that extra fan is on there. Because take a look at that fan. That looks like it shouldn't be on there, right? That looks a bit crazy. But the thing is, I'm just curious, how much of a temperature difference does that really make? How much cooler does it really make it? Which I'm going to test it without the fan as well. And ironically, even with the fan on it, I can tell you, if you have an RTX 4090, it really is, it's actually still cooler than the 5090 so far. Obviously, because it has to do with the wattage that is going through here. You're getting quite a bit of power that's going through there. Sometimes it's a bit scary how much wattage is going through there. But how much did I get my 5090 for? I had to buy it for $3,000. It was ridiculously priced. I got it. I was lucky, got it off a Newegg, and was able to score it for $3,000. But again, way too expensive of a card. It should not be that much money. That was actually, that extra fan that's on there, that actually came with the GPU, believe it or not. So isn't that a bit insane for that? So if I turn it on, right, I'll actually turn it on so you guys can see it. That just looks weird. I feel like that looks so out of place, right? Right there. So you guys on vertical can see it too. And let me focus the camera a bit better so you can get, there you go. Now that's better. So you're paying $3,000 for this LCD probably that's only worth maybe like $5. So they threw that on the side there to make it look cooler. I guess it looks cool. But again, it's like I care more about performance more than anything. But is it really going to give you $3,000 worth of performance? So Darth V says, my rig pulls 550 watts. And the ridiculous part is this 5090 takes more than 550 watts. And that fan, it does look weird, right? I don't like it at all. If it doesn't need it, if it's not that much cooler, then I'm going to definitely remove it out of this rig and see how much of an improvement it really is, because it's when they came out with this, when Gigabyte, it looked good, right? On their renders, when they rendered this, it looked really nice. But when you actually put it together, it just looks a mess. It looks like somebody ghetto rigged it together, right? So I don't know why they were thinking of putting it together just like that. You can certainly swap out the fan though. It is swappable because the way it's mounted on the card, you could put like say an Noctua fan on there, like a very slim one, and it would look a lot better. But this looks like a cheaper, one of those cheaper Gigabyte fans that they just packaged with it, and they just sent it out that way and said, here, just put this in the box and give it to them. The fan's not really noisy, and it doesn't really have that much vibration noise, but I just think it's interesting concept, but not like this. This just makes it look weird. So Segoy TV says, well, if it does make temps go down, it works, right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, lock on, welcome. And you just built your first PC, and you gotta be loving that PC. I bet you do. Now you're gonna always want to check out PCs. 45 Celsius, okay for idle temperatures for your CPU, is it? I'm assuming. Is it for your CPU or is it for your GPU? Because depending on what it is. Now 45 is typically good. I'm assuming CPU. Because that's a good temperature. And I'm assuming AMD. And Average Gamer says, I wanted to get the Gigabyte 5080 AORUS Ice Master, but it's over 2,000 5 months later. And see, the thing is, like when Nvidia sets the price, when they said it was $1,000 for a 5080, it should be $1,000, right? It shouldn't be double the price. It's like you have to multiply the price with the ARGB at this point. So it just doesn't make any sense. And but yeah, CPU, yeah, that's excellent. If it's AMD 45 degrees, that's perfect. I'm assuming you probably have maybe a AMD. Let me take a guess. Do you have is it a 9700X or is it a 9600X even? Because that sounds about right, I would think. Even with the 9800X 3Ds, even they're excellent too. But yeah, it's just really odd looking. But and you see it's at 55 degrees at idle, and it's not even really working. But it's kind of weird to how this display is because it doesn't seem to be like it's not very fluid. It has some sort of like a little lag. I haven't tried to customize it or anything like that. Retail is out the window. That's definitely the facts for sure. 98, that's really good. Yeah. So if it's a 9800X 3D, nothing to worry about. 45 is perfect. I'd be a little bit more worried if it was like I wouldn't even worry. Not 45. It would have to be a lot higher. If you're like idling at like 65, then that would be kind of questionable. But even, and what's your ambient room temperature like too? Because again, like everything makes a difference. It's like every little thing makes a difference there. I kind of oh, okay. You can't. That's how it is. Once you get into the whole PC gaming aspect, you just end up like splurging on a lot of things too, because of you're gonna want to get so many different things and accessories and parts for your PCs. But I'm having a problem with what's the problem with the NVMe? Again, everyone out there too that's just joining in, I'm Chris Mizo. We talk about PCs and tech, and I gotta say, you don't have to. This is not necessary. Just go with just go with the RX 9070 XT. It's definitely not necessary for gaming. I gotta say, for sure. Ambient temperature is about 23. Okay, so yeah. So you're perfectly good. Nothing to worry about. 23 is excellent. I'll close that up. And let me see. I'll go back here. Whoa. See, I had this new feature that I was going to show you guys too. It was called the Jonah Cam, right? But he's not. He doesn't want to make an appearance today. So thank you for all the likes. Thanks, Reaper. Good to see you. But Jonah's apparently just hiding out. He doesn't want to be here. He's being lazy for Saturday today. He's just in his bed. But yeah, 23 is excellent. For 23 and 45 is perfect. There you go. Put that back to sleep. And for anyone who is just joining the whole gaming side of it, again, I can't stress enough, and I know well enough for sure Darth V will let you know, 9070 XT is good enough for gaming. It really is. You don't really need anything extra. It would be nice, of course, to always have more, but is it really worth spending almost, 3 times the cost? A little bit more than 3 times the cost for a RTX 5090. And then for some reason, the SSD randomly disappears. I've been trying to boot Windows. So it sounds like your SSD could be corrupted. I'm assuming your NVMe could be corrupted. If it is, I would recommend clearing it out if that's the case. But before you do that, make sure it's all the way connected too, because sometimes NVMe's, if they're not pushed in all the way, it can cause kind of a loose connection. And if that's the case, then that could be the problem, if that's the issue that you're running into. So try to check the hardware itself first. Try to push it in a little bit more. Make sure it's locked into the PCI Express slot that it is in. And if it is, then it should be good. But I think it's overheating. Once the PC has been off for a while, it can be found. So it's not staying cool. Is there a reason why? That's what I'm curious about. What's the temperatures on your SSD? I would recommend T705. The T705. That's the PCI Express 5, right? So you have a PCI Express 5 NVMe. The T705. So you definitely have to have a big heatsink on there. They run a lot hotter compared to PCI Express 4. Like when it comes to their SSDs, definitely get a large heatsink on there, if it's not on there already. Hopefully you put it in the main spot. What type of motherboard is it on, by the way, just to get an idea. Because you want to put it you want to put it somewhere up there, where it has that big heatsink on there. Oh yeah, of course it'll support Gen 5, but the question is, what type of motherboard do you have? Is it? Did you mention it already? But yeah, what type of motherboard do you have? Because typically, if it's MSI, Gigabyte, they should come out with a larger. In fact, let me see. Actually, let me pull a motherboard. It's above the GPU. Yeah, and it's still overheating. Do you have the thermal pads on it? Or did you take the laminates off the thermal pads? Because if the thermal pads on it and you don't have the X870E Ace Rock Nova. Okay, so for that motherboard, you should definitely have thermal pads on there, or get better thermal pads. I would suggest that first, because maybe the thermal pads that you got with it are not really that great. They do have companies out there such as Thermal Grizzly. They have their own, and there's a few companies I can suggest that you can try their thermal pads to see if it works better. It should dissipate the heat better, so the heat sink is good. So yeah, I would try to go like with better thermal pads then first, just to get an idea. And you got to read off your temperatures too, because it depends if it really is overheating or not, because we don't know if it is. Is it running like, say, over 80? Do you know if the drive is running that hot? Is it over 80? Because then that would be hot for a SSD. And Destiny says, and check if the NVMe pins and socket is clean. Yes, that's also important too. Because there's got to be something seems off there. I would check the hardware first. So far, from what you're describing, I feel like it's going to be hardware related for sure. Take a look. Because even like if it's not sitting, I can't find the temps. Oh, okay. But that's right. Since you're new to PCs and everything, I would suggest looking for this called the hardware info. I'm going to type it in for you. Hardware info 64. It's free. You can download this on your PC. Look that up. If you look up hardware info 64, then you can certainly take advantage of it. And that way you can check your temperatures. It's going to be very easy to navigate. Just go to where your SSD is. You'll see the SSD's name is. You're going to see Crucial T705. You're going to go down to it and you'll see temps. And I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Darby says, I removed the labels on my NVMe, so I have an MSI 670 using the same slot. Remove the plastic thermals on the heat sinks. So I looked okay, some groups, and apparently it's batched. It's a batch issue with that stick. Oh, so it could be, if that's the case, just send it back then. Send back your SSD if there is a batch issue with it. Because I remember the original ones, the T700s, they were really good. I never messed with the T705s. But yeah, I would highly suggest checking hardware info just to double check if there could be an issue with it, because there's been sometimes certain NVMEs will give problems. I can say like Saber and Rockets I had before. The Saber and Rocket, especially the PCI Express 4, when they had theirs, the first ones that came out, they would just crash and then just randomly just lose everything that's in there. I was pissed when that happened. But yeah, definitely RMA it if that's the case. If it's a known issue, just RMA it. Doesn't matter if the temperatures or anything like that. Don't try to fix it. At that point, just send it in, because otherwise you're just going to lose out your opportunity on just getting a new one anyway. And that'll and more than likely that'll probably fix your issue if everything is correct, just as if you're saying it. So I ordered a 990 Pro coming in. You'll enjoy that. The 990 Pro is a very good NVMe. The Samsung 990 Pro is great, and so is I gotta say a very underrated brand is what's it? Next Storage. Next Storage is really good too. It's from Japan. Their NVMe's are excellent too. Darby's right. Problem solved. No need to worry about it then, because it seems that you've found the fix to your issue. And the thing with NVMe's, they can be very fickle. It's always good to back them up too, because you never know when you can run into an issue. When you do run into a problem, it's very quick. It's not like you'll just lose everything when you do run into problems. Sometimes you'll get good indicators. Sometimes you'll notice it because stuff starts going missing. If it does, immediately try to back up everything that's important to you, and then switch over to a different NVMe, because that's a sign right there that you're going to run into issues. Yeah. So once you get that 990 Pro, you're going to be very satisfied with it. I can say for sure, and it's very quick. Um, you know what's crazy too is I can't understand Samsung's naming scheme because when they came out with their PCI Express 5, I really thought they were just gonna change it over to like their whole what is it? The NVMe like 1000 or something. They were gonna call it something different, but instead they just gave one extra number, 991, I think it is, for their PCI Express 5. Hakuna Matata is right. I, I would play the song, but we can't on you know, YouTube won't like that too much. So, how long have you guys been in the PC realm? Yeah, how long has everyone been into PCs? I see a lot of new builders here, which is great. I love seeing new builders. I get very excited for that because you just entered a whole amazing field of work. Too expensive. At first it is. It's very expensive at first. But once you go through it, it's like one of those hobbies where you just can't let go of. Like when it comes to PC building, it's something that you just don't want to really stop. It's just, it becomes addictive. It really does. You just want to keep building more and more, or keep like modifying or doing different things to make your PC look amazing. You'll focus on everything other than gaming. At that point, you'll focus on everything how to make your PC look nice. But I gotta say, I do appreciate everybody that's been here during the stream. I love all you guys that are out there. Hopefully you guys were able to join the free giveaway. If you haven't, it's on the website, which is chrismizo.com. It's just like the name. And when you go there, just go to the bottom of the page. You'll see Jonah holding the gift. And that's how it will lead you to the giveaway, which was what ironically we're just talking about, which was the Samsung 990 Pro. And it's a 1TB one, where it has the heatsink with it, so you can put it with the PS5. Or if you don't want to put it with PS5, you can take out the heatsink. It might not, I don't think it's with the heatsink right away anyway, but you don't have to install it on there, and you can just put it directly into your PC. So if you want to join the free giveaway, again, it's on the website, chrismizo.com, and go to where Jonah is holding the gift, which is the dog Jonah, and that icon that you see. And he's holding the gift. You click it, and that will take you to the giveaway. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this live so far. And Dark V says, my previous build was a 3rd generation Intel 5. Wow. Yeah, now you're dating back a little while ago. And it's crazy because, you know, one of my favorite Intel builds was the 4790K. That was an amazing processor. I held that one on for a long time. I think for at least like 5 years, I held it on for the, it was an amazing processor for sure. And those were the days that I miss Intel, where Intel was actually decent. I had to take a sip of coffee there. But I think I can tell you one of the very first builds that I did was a AMD Athlon. It was AMD Athlon 64. I can't remember the number though. It was like 30, it was a 3.8 gigahertz processor, but it was like way ahead at the time. Because that's when AMD like was really at the come up and was competing against Intel. Does removing stickers from NVMe's void warranty? I don't see why it would. It wouldn't make sense because it's only a drive. I can see it like on other things, like maybe a GPU, just say, but not on an NVMe. It wouldn't make any sense. I don't think so. But if they said that removing stickers off of an NVMe would void my warranty, I would never go with that company again because it makes no sense. What's up, Ezekiel? Good to see you. You know what's funny? I just took a sip of coffee too. Was just thinking of you while I was taking a sip of coffee. And yeah, 3570 keep for warranty. Yeah, it's good to keep it. Yeah, just keep the stickers anyway. But it just doesn't make sense. You gotta admit that just doesn't make sense at all. That if you take off the stickers, maybe I could see one thing. If you're taking off like uh, one of those drives, like one of the RAM off of the off the NVMe, I could see them saying that like you're trying to modify it. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that's going to modify something like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just talking about the whole yeah that most warranties are voided if you remove stickers. Yes. About 2 years in the PC community, started out with the 3050 RTX 6 GB laptop to understand what PC gaming had to offer. And then I am waiting for my GPU to finish. My first desktop build was a 13700K with a 5080 16 GB of oh, nice. That's a nice build. That's back on Raptor Lake too. Busy feeding my dogs. I gotta ask you, Ezekiel, what kind of dogs do you have? My dog's not apparent here today. He hasn't wanted to visit the stream, unfortunately. I don't know what kind of mood he's in today. He's been in bed. But he's also old too. He's going to be 13 this year. He's gonna be 13 in, let me see, I think 2 weeks, I gotta say. His birthday's on the 3rd. And let me see. Trying to pull up the calendar, but it won't come up. But yeah, his birthday's coming up in I think 2 Saturdays from now. And when his birthday does come up, we'll do some sort of birthday for him. My RTX 5060 Ti 16 GB is arriving at noon. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm curious. You got to put some you got to put it to work and put some benchmark numbers because I'm curious about it. I want to see what type of numbers that you're gonna pull out of it. Because with the 50, that still blows my mind. How did they get away with saying that? Saying that there was an issue with the 50. How they said that there was a 5070 and how it can compete. Oh, I got an encoder overload. Turn down video settings. Maybe it's let me try. I wonder how that happened. Oh, maybe I'm doing too much task at the time. Oh, Chihuahuas. Yeah, they're probably yeah, they're fierce dogs, right? Yeah, usually the Chihuahuas act pretty tough. But yeah, I'm just really curious about that. I'm really curious about how that's going to be. How they got away with saying that how did they get away with saying that a 5070 was equal to a 4090 will still blow me away because when testing it benchmark wise it just didn't seem like anywhere close to it, to be honest. Like even with DLSS and frame generation I just didn't see it get anywhere near those numbers. If you want to send benchmarks, for I didn't mention that today. Actually, there is a Discord channel everybody can join, and if you're interested in joining, I will actually you can send the benchmarks through there. There's actually a benchmark site on the server that you can put them in, and let me share it with you guys real quick. Since go right here. Actually, you can even go to my website, and if you go to the bottom, I actually have the link. Oh, that's right. I can't copy it here. Let me just copy the link real quick, guys, and I'll send it over to you. Man, I'm craving some like real good food later too. I've been on a cut right now, so I've been right now I've been trying to get down to 170. There we go. That's the Discord server there. For anyone who wants to join, just click it. Feel free to join. You can show your different benchmark numbers. You can share PC photos. You can also share all types of info that you would like about your PC. You got questions, you got tech questions. Feel free to put it. I'm sure everybody there is willing to help you out. Usually they are. Let me just adjust that. There we go. Perfect. So in that Discord server, there should be a side you could send the benchmark pictures. All right, perfect. Good, nice. Yeah, feel free to join. Anybody that wants to show off their PCs, you got to show it off there. I've seen some amazing builds in there. I really like a lot of those Lee and Lee builds that people have been putting together. They've been looking amazing. And there's I think 2 other people in there that actually have a 5090. There's quite a few people in there that have a RX 9070 XT. Again, a well underrated GPU. I can't tell you enough. I know Dart can't tell you enough. And but if you do choose to upgrade a GPU, don't be hesitant on getting a 9070 XT. It is impressive. Even with ray tracing, it's been doing really good. It's with when it gets questionable, it's only when it comes to the whole path tracing side, then it gets a little bit more questionable then. But hopefully you guys have heard all the latest with Intel. Hopefully they do come out with their GPU. Hopefully they still continue their research and development, as they say, because it seems that they are going to continue researching it more. And supposedly if they do, that would be the higher end GPU for the battle mage side. So it should be a lot more competitive against something like Nvidia's RTX 5080. So Sugoi TV says 650 watts for R7 9700X and a 4060. Is that enough? Yeah, it should be. Yeah, that's enough. That's definitely enough. 650 watts is plenty enough for that. But again, it depends how much you're hooking up to. If you're hooking up extra fans, if you're hooking up all the extra stuff, that's probably the bare minimum, I would say. But I want to know how Nvidia thinks that the 5060 Ti is 50 times faster than... Oh my god. People are funny here today. That is... Destiny is right. I don't understand. Oh, is it? It's lagging? Is my stream lagging, guys? Or is it just I wonder if it has to do with the server. But you guys can... Is it better now? It seems like it's smooth on my end. I can't really see any. Oh, it says it dropped some frames. Let me see something here. I bet you it's freaking Comcast. I bet it's Comcast. Let me try adjusting here. I should have changed the video encoder. I'm waiting for my melty cable with my 15. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting to see if this cable melts. I've seen quite a bit of wattage go through that thing. Oh, awesome. Thank you for joining the Discord channel. Let me see here. All right, let me see. Perfect. Yeah, you'll see the benchmark screenshots. You can send it right over there. All the stuff that's a Silicon Gallery on that side, you could put all your pictures before, after. You could put co-op companions, which is like your pets, battle stations. You have different screenshots of benchmarks you could put up. Everything's over there. So thank you for everyone that is joining in. I appreciate it. So it's lagging. It's lagging, I thought, my end. Oh, is it? Is the stream lagging, guys, for you guys? I gotta know. See if I can fix it a bit. See if I could get it to run a bit smoother. Let me try closing out some stuff real quick. It says it dropped frames about 3.3%. Very little. And I don't know why it doesn't let me adjust this. Oh, there you go. It does let me adjust it. Now it does. And there we go. That should be more smooth too. And but yeah, with the let me see something real quick because I want to share this with you guys too. So Intel's working on the BGM at G31, right? And the BGM at 32. Again, those are cards that are supposed to be a much more powerful competitor compared to they're supposed to be more of the higher end side. So they're supposed to be more competing more something like against the 9070 XT, which would be interesting, and something like an Nvidia say 5070 Ti or something. It's probably going to compete against. It's very hard to imagine to see Intel actually competing with those guys, because it would be great, because we need more competition when it comes to the whole when it comes to gaming, and especially when it comes to PC hardware, because the pricing is just way out this world. It's just amazing. It's funny, I was watching a video the other day, right? And it wasn't even that long ago. It was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was one of Linus's old videos I was seeing, and he was mentioning how cool it is to install a card that's a $600 GPU that's in your PC. And when you really think about that, $600 can't really get you nothing now. It really can't. You really can't get a really decent GPU now. Now, to get somewhat of a decent GPU, you want to get a decent GPU, just like the RX 9070 XTs. You have to spend a little bit more. You got to spend at least $700 or $800. But he made $600 sound like a premium price. And back then, to get a top tier GPU was $600 GPU would be top tier. A $300 GPU would get you something that's like more like mid tier. But it's just insane about the price difference between them. Just like what it is now. Now for a high-end one, we're facing $3,000 at least. And then for that's way too high. That's way too expensive. And just thinking, like, I remember just preparing the budget for the studio, and I was, because again, with the studio budget, I'm thinking it should be enough. Like, it should be like $2,000 at the minimum should be enough. But man, it when he said 2,000, I was like, that's a bit steep as it is. And then plus you got to throw the AIB price on it. So you're not going to really get the manufacturer price unless you get the Founders Edition, which is already hard enough to get. And you could only get the Founders Edition through something like Best Buy. And it would be great. It would honestly be really great if they ended up, if AMD did come out with their own Founders Edition. They would do well. You can imagine. It wouldn't have to be at Best Buy. They could be exclusive to Micro Center, since they don't really push out Founders Edition cards like for Nvidia at Micro Centers. I know it does happen, but it's not very often and it's rare. And if you did get one at a Micro Center, you were just very fortunate and super lucky, because it's very few Micro Centers that would get something like that. But if AMD did an exclusive of Founders Edition, would you be more likely to go to Micro Center to get an AMD's Founder Edition card? Especially because you don't have the unnecessary stuff that's on there that you don't need. Maybe you don't want the extra RGBs. You don't want the extra fans on there, just like this monstrosity of a GPU that I have behind me, which doesn't really look like a GPU. It looks like someone made it in their basement type of GPU. But let me just check something here real quick, guys, because let me see if I can somehow fix this stream. And I think a lot has to do with the network that I'm currently on. I would love to swap out my network, because Comcast is just terrible. Let me see. Go into the studio here. See how the connection, it says excellent. I don't know. It says the connection's excellent right now. But I appreciate everybody coming in. Again, thank you guys again so much for joining in into this live stream. I really appreciate it. And for anyone who did just join in, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. Hopefully you joined the giveaway. If you did, it's on. If you didn't, it's on my website, chrismizo.com. Just go down, you'll see a Jonah, which is the dog, holding a gift. If you go into him holding the gift, it will take you into the giveaway, which is your chance to get a Samsung 990 Pro. And you also have a chance to get some dope merch, just like this shirt. You get this. You get Jonah with the RGB glasses next to the PC on. Feel free to join. And also, I really appreciate everyone who's come through and been part of the fan band. And that's one of the main reasons why I was doing the giveaway. Unfortunately, the original winners of the giveaway was never responded to the emails. So once again, I have to put them back up. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, if there is some sort of weird lag on the stream, I'll try to get that figured out too. But thanks again so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And I love all of you. Take care and enjoy your PC rigs, and feel free to join the Discord channel. I put the link up on the chat if you are interested. And I hope somebody took that key that I also gave earlier. I'm going to give it one more time just in case. Can Jonah say hi? He is so cute. Yeah, let me see if I can drag him out here before anything. Let me see if I get him to come out. Let me see. Oh, I know how to get him here. I could give him a treat. Be right back, guys. I'll try to go get him. There we go. You want to say bye to everybody, Jonah? Come here. I got it. This new feature I got to show you guys. You'll like this. I call this the Jonah Cam. Ready? Let's see. Hopefully I got it at the right angle. Hopefully you guys see him. There you go, buddy. That's the big famous Jonah here. So I had to take him out of his bed. Now he finally came in. Oh, for all those who... Oh, yeah. The key was just for Star Wars, he's going to say. He's actually a miniature schnauzer. Miniature schnauzer mix. He's like a little mutt himself, but he is going to be 13 in a couple of weeks here. Hopefully that's a good angle on him. Yes. So let me just post it out there once again. That's the key. Hopefully someone takes it. But I think he might need an Intel system. And here we go. Post it one more time. And that's where you gotta claim it. Hopefully you don't have to go through like the whole genuine process. But make sure to pick that up. Say bye, Jonah. Say bye. There you go. There you go, buddy. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you again so much for watching. And this is Chris Mizo signing out. And feel free to say whatever you need in Discord. I love all you guys, and I appreciate everyone who's come in and watched. Thank you, guys. Yeah, but I actually had him his whole life to answer Destiny's question here. I actually had him since he was 2 months. I had him. He used to fit like the size of my palm when I first got him. Thanks again for everyone who came in. Thank you guys.